It happened on one of those gray afternoons when the air feels like wet paper, too heavy to breathe, too soft to snow. The trees in Lincoln Park were bare except for a few stubborn brown leaves clinging to the branches. I was walking home from a job interview that went exactly how all my interviews had gone that year. Polite smiles, a "we'll be in touch," and that slow, humiliating walk out of the lobby where you already know they won't call. I cut through the park like I always did, head down, hands jammed in my jacket pockets. I was 38, recently divorced, and barely holding my rent together. The wind smelled like rain and roasted nuts. Some vendor was still out near the fountain, stubbornly clinging to business. And that's when I saw her. An old woman sitting at a fold-up card table right next to the fountain. She had a red scarf wrapped around her head, the color so bright it almost looked fake against the gray sky. On her table were tarot cards, a cracked ceramic mug, and a metal thermos with steam curling out of the spout like smoke. I probably wouldn't even have slowed down if she hadn't said my name. Daniel. Just that. Soft, clear, and certain. I stopped mid-step. My first thought was that I must have misheard. My second was that maybe she'd guessed. But then she added, "You're late." Something about the way she said it made my skin prickle. Not like a threat, but like an inside joke I didn't remember making. I asked, half laughing, "Do I know you?" She looked up then. Her eyes were pale gray, almost silver, and the wrinkles around them deepened as she smiled. "You don't yet, but you will." I told her I didn't have any cash, thinking she wanted to do a reading or something. She shook her head. "This one's already paid for." And I don't know why I did it. Maybe because I was tired, or because my life had been falling apart long enough that I stopped caring about what made sense, but I sat down. The metal chair creaked under me, and the air between us felt suddenly colder. She shuffled her cards slowly, like she was trying to remember something. Then she pulled one out and laid it face up between us. It was the tower. She tapped her long, thin finger on the image of lightning striking a collapsing building. "Everything's already coming down, but that's not the part you should fear." I asked her what I should fear. She leaned forward just enough that I could smell the cinnamon on her breath. "You'll meet someone soon. He'll know you. He'll know everything about you, even the things you've forgotten." Then she sat back, smiled faintly, and said, "When you hear your own voice coming from another mouth, don't run." That's when I stood up, pretending I was amused, but my hands were shaking. I left before she could say another word. And I swear, as I walked away, I heard her humming something, an old tune I used to whistle as a kid, one I hadn't thought about in 20 years.
For a few days, I didn't think much about the old woman. I told myself she was just another park eccentric, maybe someone who spent too long reading people's Facebook posts and guessing names. Still, something about her voice stuck with me. You'll hear your own voice coming from another mouth. It would just pop into my head sometimes, while brushing my teeth or waiting for the bus, or staring at the fridge trying to decide between expired leftovers and cereal, like a song lyric you can't get rid of. About a week later, I got an email from a hiring manager at a tech firm I'd applied 2 months before. They wanted to schedule a short interview. Nothing fancy, just a preliminary chat to see if I'd fit the company culture. I didn't expect much, but it felt like something. The interview was at a co-working space downtown. I remember the lobby smelled like coffee and printer toner, that mix of caffeine and desperation every office has. When the receptionist told me my interview was named, I actually laughed. "Daniel Wright," she said. "Sorry, did you say Daniel?" "Yeah," she smiled. "Funny coincidence, right?" The elevator ride up was slow, and I caught my reflection in the mirrored wall. I looked tired, like my face had been carved out of yesterday. I kept thinking about the name. It's not rare, but still, I couldn't shake the unease. When the elevator doors opened, I walked into a small meeting room. There was a guy standing by the window, back turned, scrolling through something on a tablet. "Hey," I said. He turned around, and for a second, I forgot how to breathe. He looked like me. Not kinda similar or vaguely familiar. He was me. The same face, the same faint scar near the eyebrow, even the same nervous habit of rubbing the back of his neck when he was thinking. The only difference was the clothes. He looked sharper, more put together, confident. "Daniel," he said, smiling. His voice, my voice, filled the room. "Glad you could make it." I tried to laugh, but it came out shaky. "Is this some kind of joke?" He tilted his head, exactly the way I do when I'm confused. "You tell me." We sat across from each other. Every movement he made, every blink, every tilt of his head felt like watching my own reflection on a delay. The questions he asked weren't about the job. He asked about me, about things no stranger could possibly know. The exact date my ex-wife left, the name of the dog I had as a kid, the time I fell off my bike when I was 8 and cracked a tooth. I asked him how he knew all that. He smiled, leaned forward, and said, "You told me, back in the park." Then the lights flickered, just once, but long enough for me to realize his shadow didn't move the same way mine did.
When the lights steadied again, he was still watching me, calm, patient, almost amused. The kind of look you give someone when you're waiting for them to understand something obvious. I tried to play it off. "Okay," I said, forcing a laugh. "You've done your research. What is this, some kind of immersive marketing stunt?" He just tilted his head, same as me, same rhythm. "You really don't remember." I started to get angry then, because I was tired of people making me feel like I was missing something. First the divorce, then losing my job, now this, some stranger or whatever he was, acting like I was the punchline. So I stood up. "This is insane. I don't know what game you're playing, but I'm done." He didn't move, didn't even blink. "Sit down, Daniel," he said quietly. "You came here for a reason." The way he said my name, that tone, that exact pacing, it hit me right in the chest. It sounded like me talking to myself when I was trying to calm down during a panic attack, the same rhythm I'd use in the mirror. I sat down without really meaning to. My body just obeyed. He reached into his pocket and slid something across the table. A photo. It was a picture of me, standing in the park the day I met the old woman. Except the photo wasn't from my angle. It was from hers. My hand started shaking. "Where did you get this?" He didn't answer, just looked down at the photo and said, "She sent it to me. Said you need reminding." "Reminding of what?" "That we made a promise," he said. There was a long silence. The hum of the overhead light felt like it was drilling into my skull. "What promise?" I asked finally. He smiled, a slow, familiar curve of the mouth that made my stomach twist. "Trade places," I repeated. "Yeah," he said, leaning back, his smile widening just a little too far. "You've been tired for a long time, Daniel. You said you wanted out. I'm just here to finish the paperwork." I should have walked out right then, but curiosity's a kind of gravity. You think you're in control until you realize you've already been pulled in.
He opened a slim laptop and turned it toward me. The screen was blank white except for a single blinking cursor. "Go ahead," he said. "Just type what you want." I didn't touch it. "Type what exactly?" "Your signature," he said, still smiling. "It doesn't have to be perfect." I laughed because I didn't know what else to do. "Man, if this is performance art, you're really committing." He didn't laugh. His reflection in the laptop screen looked a little off. The lighting didn't match. His eyes darker than mine, and his smile sharper. Then the cursor moved on its own. It started typing my name, Daniel Wright. Same shaky rhythm my hand makes when I'm nervous. "Okay, that's enough," I whispered. He looked up at me. "You asked for it, remember? You said you were tired. You said you wanted another chance to start over, somewhere quieter." I blinked hard. That night, months ago, after my wife left, I'd been drinking and muttering to myself. I'd said those exact words in the bathroom mirror. "I just want to start over." "How do you know that?" I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he pushed the laptop closer. "Type it, and you'll be free. I'll take care of everything else." The cursor pulsed, waiting. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely think. I reached out, part of me just wanting to prove it wasn't real, and when my fingertip touched the key, the screen went black. The lights in the office flickered again, but this time they didn't come back on right away. For a few seconds, it was pitch dark. I could still see his outline, though, glowing faintly, like the afterimage you get when you stare at a light too long. When the power returned, the chair across from me was empty. The laptop was gone. But in its place, lying on the table, was a single folded note. It said, "Enjoy the quiet. I'll handle the noise." I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him sitting calmly in that chair, waiting.
The next morning, I woke up to 23 unread messages. Co-workers, friends, even my sister, people I hadn't spoken to in months. "Hey man, great seeing you last night. Didn't know you moved back to the city. Drinks again soon? You finally got that new job, huh? Congrats, Dan." Except I hadn't seen any of them. I'd gone straight home after the interview. I checked my bank app. 2 new transactions, coffee shop, gas station, both across town. Same card number, same time I'd been lying in bed, trying not to think about the man who looked like me. I told myself maybe it was fraud. Maybe someone had cloned my card. But when I called the bank, the woman on the phone said, "Sir, we already spoke with you yesterday about this. You said everything was fine." That made my skin crawl. Then came the phone call from my old landlord. He said he'd seen me moving boxes into my old apartment again. "Guess you missed the place," he joked. I hadn't been there in over a year. That night, I walked to a bar downtown just to clear my head. The place was noisy, warm, smelled like spilled beer and cheap cologne. I ordered a drink, turned to look at the TV above the counter, then froze. The security mirror behind the bar showed the crowd, but not me. There was someone sitting in my stool, wearing my jacket, holding my glass. He turned his head, and our eyes met through the mirror. He smiled, my smile, and raised the glass in a small toast. Then he mouthed something I couldn't hear over the music. I leaned closer to the mirror, trying to read his lips. It was just 3 words. "You signed it." I looked around, heart racing. When I turned back, the reflection was gone. But the glass on the counter was still warm, and the bartender was staring at me like I'd been sitting there the whole time.
The next morning, I woke up to silence. My phone, which normally buzzed with notifications from job alerts or spam calls, was completely blank. No missed calls, no messages, nothing. Even my calendar had reset. At first, I thought it was just a glitch. I rebooted the phone, but when it came back on, half my contacts were gone. My sister's number, my ex's, even my doctor, wiped clean. I called my sister through Messenger instead. It rang once before she picked up, frowning. "Who is this?" "It's me, Daniel." Long pause. "Daniel who?" I laughed. "Very funny." She didn't laugh. "I don't know you," she said quietly, and hung up. That's when the panic hit. I rushed to my email. Same thing. My inbox was still there, but every message I'd ever sent was gone. My profile photo had changed too. It was still me, but not the one I remembered taking. In the picture, I was smiling in a suit I didn't own, standing in front of a new office building with a company logo behind me. A company that hired someone named Daniel Wright. Someone with my social security number, my date of birth, my everything. I called HR, my voice shaking. "Hi, this is Daniel Wright. I think—" The woman interrupted me. "Oh, Mr. Wright, you're calling from your personal number? We weren't expecting you until Monday." My throat went dry. You know who I am?" "Of course," she said. "You're starting as the new project manager." I almost dropped the phone. I said, "No, you don't understand. Someone else," but she kept talking. "By the way, your onboarding forms were perfect. You really have a knack for signing things electronically. Not everyone does." Then she laughed, and it was his laugh, the one from the interview room. I hung up. That night, I went to my old apartment, the one my landlord said I'd move back into. The door was unlocked. Inside, everything was exactly how I'd left it a year ago, except cleaner, newer. There were clothes in the closet in my size, groceries I liked in the fridge, a laptop on the desk. The screen was on. A video call window was open, showing my own face staring back. He looked at me, calm, confident, relaxed. He said, "You're early. I wasn't expecting you to find this place so soon." I couldn't speak. My chest felt like it was being crushed from the inside. He leaned closer to the camera, voice low. "You asked for quiet, Daniel. I'm just giving you what you wanted. Don't fight it now." Then the screen went black, and for the first time in my life, I realized how terrifying it is to feel erased while you're still alive.
The next day, I went straight to the police. The desk officer barely looked up when I walked in, just kept tapping at his keyboard. "I need to report identity theft," I said. "Someone's impersonating me." He finally glanced up. "Name? Daniel Light." He typed something, frowned, and then said, "Sir, we already have a Daniel Wright on file. He came in 2 weeks ago about a stolen laptop. Looks like that case is closed now." "What? That wasn't me." The officer sighed. "You got ID?" I handed him my driver's license. He studied it for a second, then said flatly, "This looks fake." "It's not," I snapped. "That's me." He called another officer over. They whispered something. Then the second one leaned in close and said, "Sir, whoever made this did a decent job, but your photo doesn't match our system. The guy in our records looks a lot like you, though." I felt my knees go weak. "He is me," I said quietly. "You don't understand." The officer cut me off. "If you keep impersonating someone else, we'll have to detain you." I walked out shaking. The world around me looked the same, but it didn't feel mine anymore. Street signs, shop windows, people's faces,
everything seemed slightly off, like the whole city had shifted 1 inch to the left, and I was the only one who noticed. That night, I went back to my new apartment. Not the one he'd moved into, but the cheap sublet where I'd been crashing. My laptop was on the floor, screen glowing faintly. The cursor was blinking in a blank document. Then, one by one, words started to appear. Stop chasing me. You asked for freedom. This is it. Go back to the park. My hands were trembling. I typed back, "What are you?" No response at first. Then, slowly, letters appeared. The part of you that doesn't quit. And then, as if mocking me, another line followed. She said you wouldn't last long. I slammed the laptop shut. But I couldn't sleep. Because deep down, I remembered what the fortune teller had said. Don't run when you hear your own voice coming from another mouth. I'd run anyway. And now I wasn't sure if there was any version of me left to run back to. I went back at dawn. The air had that early morning chill that seeps into your sleeves before the sun burns it off. Lincoln Park was almost empty. Just a jogger in headphones, a guy walking his dog, and me. The fountain where I'd first seen the old woman was dry now. The stone basin was cracked, full of wet leaves and cigarette butts. Her little fold-up table was gone. No red scarf, no thermos, no trace that anyone had ever sat there. But there was something else. In the dirt beside the fountain was a circle of cards. Tarot cards, half buried, half soaked. I crouched down and brushed the dirt away. The top one was the Tower, the same card she'd drawn for me that day. When I flipped it over, the back wasn't the same. Someone had scrawled in black ink, "The other Daniel keeps his promises." I stood up so fast I nearly fell. The park suddenly felt too quiet, the kind of silence that isn't empty, it's watching. Then I saw her, or something like her. At first, I thought it was just another early riser, a small woman sitting on a bench across the path, bundled in a heavy coat. But the way she was sitting, perfectly still, hands folded, head slightly tilted, it was too familiar. I walked toward her slowly. The closer I got, the more the world around us seemed to fade. No birds, no traffic hum, no footsteps on the gravel. "Hey," I said quietly. "It's me, Daniel." She didn't move. Then, without looking up, she said, "I told you not to run." Her voice was the same as before, but lower, raspier, like it had been echoing somewhere dark for too long. "What is he?" I asked. My voice cracked a little. Her head tilted more. "Not what. Who? He's the one who stayed when you wanted to leave." "That doesn't make sense." "It doesn't have to," she said. "You wanted a clean slate. He wanted a body. The trade was fair." I shook my head. "No, I didn't agree to that." She finally looked at me. Her eyes were wrong. The color was draining out of them, leaving just a pale gray haze. "You did," she whispered. "The moment you wished for a new life, he heard you. I only helped with the paperwork." Her mouth twisted into something like a smile. "The rest was between you and yourself."
I took a step back, but the ground felt unsteady, like the earth beneath us was breathing. The trees around the fountain seemed to lean closer. "What do I do? How do I stop him?" She laughed softly. "You can't stop something that's already you." Then she reached into her coat and dropped something at my feet. It was my phone, the one that had been wiped clean. Only now the screen was on, and there was a single notification flashing. "Incoming call, Daniel Wright." The ringtone was one I didn't recognize. Low, steady, almost like a heartbeat. The sound echoed weirdly through the empty park. For a second, I just stared at the screen. Incoming call, Daniel Wright. Same number as mine, same contact photo, same everything. My thumb hovered over the green button. Part of me wanted to throw the phone into the fountain basin and run until I couldn't breathe, but another part, the part that still needed answers, pressed accept. The line clicked, and for a moment there was nothing but static. Then I heard my own voice. "Finally," it said. "Calm. Too calm. You're a hard man to reach." My mouth went dry. "What the hell do you want?" "To finish what you started." His voice wasn't coming through the speaker. It was all around me, like it was being whispered directly into the air. I spun in a slow circle, scanning the empty park, but no one was there. "Stop pretending to be me," I said. "You've taken enough." He laughed, soft, familiar, tired. "You still don't get it, do you? I'm not pretending. You let me out." "Out of what?" "Out of you," he said. "Out of that cage you call a life. The version that wanted to be better, braver, freer. You buried him years ago. I'm just living the life you were too scared to live." "I didn't agree to this." He sighed. "You signed, Daniel. You typed your name. You said, 'I just want to start over.' And I did." The phone screen flickered. My reflection in the glass wasn't matching my movements anymore. It blinked when I didn't, tilted its head in the opposite direction. Then it smiled. "You can have it back," he said, "if you really want it. But you'll have to take it from me." "What does that mean?" I whispered. "You know where to find me." The call ended. I looked up, and across the park, near the far gate, I saw him. Same jacket, same hair, same everything. He lifted a hand and waved like we were old friends meeting for coffee. Then he turned and walked out of the park. I stood there until the sky turned gray to black, clutching that phone like a lifeline. Because now I finally understood. He wasn't going to stop. Not until one of us was gone.
I followed him. I didn't even think. My body just moved. The park lights flickered as I crossed the bridge toward the exit, and I could see him ahead, walking with that same lazy half stride I've had my whole life. He stopped under the street light by the old gate. For a second, it really was like looking in a mirror. The wind tugged at our jackets the same way, our breath making twin clouds in the cold air. "Why me?" I asked. "Why this?" He smiled. My smile, only steadier. "Because you asked. You said you were tired. You wanted someone to take your place. I just did what you couldn't. I want my life back." He tilted his head. "Then take it." We stood there, two shadows staring each other down. Then he stepped closer and held out his hand. The same hand. The moment our fingers touched, everything went silent. No wind, no traffic, no heartbeat. Just a bright flash like the world blinked. When I came to, I was lying on the grass. The air smelled like rain again. My head was pounding. Across the path, the space under the streetlight was empty. My phone buzzed. A new message. Welcome back. I stumbled home before sunrise. The locks on my door still worked. My wallet was in the drawer. My name showed up on the lease again. But when I looked in the mirror, something was off. Same face, same eyes. But the reflection didn't wait for me to move first. It blinked a split second too late, like it was still remembering which one of us it was supposed to be. Sometimes I catch it smiling when I'm not. I don't go near the park anymore, but every now and then my phone rings in the middle of the night. No caller ID, just that low heartbeat tone. I never answer, because I'm not sure which one of us is calling or which one picked up last time.